This podcast is about speaking life, embodying the life of Christ, and doing life with you. Expect encouragement to reset, realign, and step boldly into the intricate plans God has mapped out for your life. So take a deep breath because you're in the right place. Let's do life together, practically and with purpose. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode. I'm Kay, and today's episode is called Shift. It's about aligning with God's plans, activating faith, and thinking in alignment with His plans for your life. This is for you if you feel like you can't move on from a certain place, you feel stuck, you're not fulfilled with your life, and you believe that God has more, your faith needs refreshing, or you are in a place where believing God feels painful and you want to heal and move forward. So you may be wondering, oh Lord, child, what is she finna get into talking about alignment? But I'm here to encourage you. My podcast has a purpose of just stirring up the liveliness of Christ, and doing life with people and speaking life over them. So my prayer is that by the end of today's episode, you'll feel refreshed. You'll move forward in authority. Your faith will be healed and made whole. And you'll shift into the plans that God has for your life. So let's get into it. So what happens when we align with God's plans? A shift happens. Shift means to move or cause to move from one place to another. It's a change in position, direction, or tendency. And in Hebrew, it means relief. A shift brings relief. How incredible to think that when we align with God, He brings relief. And if you're not getting the picture, then let me paint it. So imagine a content creator who has left their job, their 9 to 5, and now they work for themselves, and they have freedom in the way that they design their day. They have freedom in their finances because they're making more. These things are examples of how God's provision has increased. It has come in the form of relief. God has relieved them from having to report to someone else on that person's time according to that person's pay rate. Or you may see content creators online who support people who have survived natural disasters. They provide relief. This may be in the form of clothing or food or just items that they're in need of. And my point is, not only did God come and expand His provision for this person, but He allowed people to come and support the mission. So now charity is a part of that vision. People are voluntarily giving so that they can be of help to someone else. And so this is just really a powerful revelation because it shows the magnitude of what happens when we align with God's plans. And so the revelation that I got is that the place that you want to be, the place that you want to get to, it's set up with God's goodness and His faithfulness. It's set up with favor, His establishment, and provision. And we can see that even in His word. His word tells us to commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. He tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Isaiah 30:21 tells us, "Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" And in this verse, this is a clear indication of aligning with God's route. This is where He is instructing us. This is where that small, still voice is telling you, hey, go ahead and do that. Or maybe you have an inkling to move forward with an idea. And then one of the last verses that I want to highlight here is the one where he says, "May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us." Yes, establish the work of our hands. We can see here that there's the establishment that God is talking about. There is the provision and the favor. I want to point out something that really helped to just make everything make sense. Someone painted the picture for me this way. They said, if God is making room for you to go forward in that space, there is room to be successful. He doesn't intend for you to be a failure. His word says that when we commit our plans to him, he establishes our plans. He establishes the work of our hands, and his favor rests upon us. And if we are aligned with him, our plans are his plans anyway. And so the point that I really want to hone in here is that when we align with God's plans, we can expect that he will establish the work of our hands, that the work we're doing is not in vain, that it will produce fruit, and that his favor rests upon us, that even in doing what the Lord has planned for our life, it produces expectation. So here is a great space to ask, am I doing what the Lord has planned for my life? Do I have godly expectation about where I'm headed? God literally tells us that it's him who establishes our plans, and that when we commit our plans to the Lord, there's favor. And so, when you find Bible verses to stand on, this is where meditating on the word of God will really come in and shift your way of thinking. And it's so important because as you go through life and you experience different seasons, your faith can grow weary. Your hope can become deferred. You can even feel like, I'm tired of hoping. I'm tired of doing X, Y, Z because, what I've been hoping for or praying for hasn't happened. And people are always saying or speaking, oh, well, this and that won't happen, or that's not possible. And this is where you have to come in and align your thinking to what God says and not people's opinion. And also make note, just to be clear, I am not saying that because life has trials, tribulations, rough seasons, that you should allow yourself to grow weary, or for your faith to die out, or for you to become hopeless. So I'm sharing how to exit this place if this is where you currently are. And if not, give him glory, because listen, this is not for the faint-hearted. But no, seriously, if you're not in this space, then take these as steps to avoid becoming hopeless and faithless and heartsick and hope deferred. Keep your hope alive in God. God has not called his people to be hopeless. And really, as I'm talking about this, something that God is highlighting to me is keeping your hope alive. What does that entail? What does that encompass? Keeping your hope alive means protecting your faith. It means standing on the word of God. It means continuing to believe when you may not want to, if we're going to be honest, But to give you something to chew on, Jeremiah 29:11 talks about how God has plans to give us hope and a future. So this verse alone lets us know that, hey, hope is a part of God's plan for your life. It's a part of his will for your life as a believer. You have the right to hope, and you should hope. And also, God tells us that those who hope in him will renew their strength. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope.